In August of 2017, artist and writer Adam Ellis shares a very interesting Twitter thread since moving into a new apartment. So, my apartment is currently being haunted by the ghost of a dead child. He started appearing in dreams, but I think he's crossed over into the real world now. He had a huge misshapen head that was dented on one side. I did my best to draw it. I had another dream a few nights later where I was in a library, and a girl came up to me and said, "You've seen Dear David, haven't you?" For the past 4 nights, my cats gather at the front door at exactly midnight and just stare at it, almost like something is on the other side. I had a dream that night where David was dragging me by the arm through an old abandoned warehouse. I'd woken up with a huge bruise on my arm. So I moved the green chair out of the bedroom weeks ago. It's been in various parts of the living room ever since. Watch the chair. I thought about using the pet cam from the living room to monitor my bedroom while I slept. I jolted awake hours later, feeling the same unease. I turned on the light and hurried out of bed to get my phone from my bookcase. There were probably 350 photos to scroll through. The vast majority of them were me sleeping in an empty room. Then suddenly he was there, standing on the chair at the foot of the bed, staring at me. Here's the final photo of the scroll. There's something uniquely terrifying about experiencing horror through your phone or computer screen. Unlike films or television, scrolling horror stories, webtoons, or social media bring the scares directly to our fingertips, blurring the line between fiction and reality. Today we're diving into why this medium of horror can be so unnerving, how the act of simply scrolling online can terrify us. The first thing that sets scrolling horror apart is intimacy. When you're reading or viewing horror on your phone or computer, you're holding the story in your hands. It's not happening on a distant screen across the room, it's happening inches away from your face. I first heard of the Instagram handle @SabrinaMiller230 as a horror-themed alternate reality game, or ARG for short. I watched YouTube videos explaining the lore and story, but it never quite prepared me for exploring the account myself.
I love people and getting to know them. That makes me happy. My posts on the social interaction platform are a way to archive my thoughts.
You scroll through posts featuring unsettling imagery, cryptic captions, and narrative elements suggesting themes of alien life and cannibalism. With each scroll, the account draws you in with its disturbing visuals, encouraging viewers to piece together its dark and surreal narrative. Moreover, the ARG format makes this account particularly intriguing as it blurs the line between fiction and reality, immersing you into a terrifying experience. This closeness makes the scares feel personal. You're not just watching a character on screen, you're actively engaging with the story. Every scroll is a decision, and that decision carries the weight of anticipation. What exactly is lurking beyond the next frame? One of the most effective tools of scrolling horror is its ability to surprise. Unlike films, which often follow a predictable structure, scrolling horror disrupts your expectations. In 2011, Choi Jung-ho publishes a short horror webtoon titled Bongcheon Ghost. The story follows a student walking home from school late at night. It was around 11:20 that night. I was dragging myself home, exhausted after a tiring night study session at school. But there was no one on the street, which I thought was strange. I kept looking down on the ground while walking home. Suddenly, a shadow stretching towards me caught my eye. Although there wasn't anyone around me, I looked up to see who, and I saw a woman walking in front of me, but she looked a little strange. She was wearing dirty pink pajamas and looked as if all her joints in her body had been twisted. I felt like I shouldn't get any closer to her, nor did I have the guts to pass by her. I froze there, not being able to move at all.
"Where's my baby?"
She cried out. I answered, pointing as far as I could. Over there. She limped towards where I had pointed to, and I couldn't see her anymore. I tried to turn around and leave, however, at that moment,
"She's not there!"
I heard her screaming from far away. I don't remember anything from then on. I heard that my neighbor found me passed out on the ground and took me home. When I first read this story, it was one of the most terrifying things that I ever came across. It was the first time I knew what it was like to feel vulnerable, simply from reading a webtoon. Webtoons like Bongcheon Ghost use the act of scrolling to control pacing, hypnotizing you into a rhythm before breaking it with a sudden scare. These moments, when unexpected, creep deeper under your skin. That's because you're not passively watching, you're participating. And that participation creates that sense of vulnerability. You're responsible for triggering the terror. Social media-based horror takes this even further, blurring the lines between fiction and reality with stories like Dear David at the beginning of this video. They unfold in formats we associate with real life. They mimic the way we consume actual news or updates from friends, making the scares feel eerily plausible. One of the most disturbing examples I've ever come across is the mobile game released in 2016 titled Sara is Missing. A player takes on the role of finding Sara's phone, which is partially functional. The AI assistant on the phone, Iris, guides the player through retrieving lost data and investigating Sara's whereabouts. Players delve into Sara's personal data, including text messages, emails, photos, videos, and social media apps. These interactions reveal fragments of her life, relationships, and activities leading up to her disappearance. As players uncover more about Sara, they discover dark and supernatural themes. Sara was researching occult practices and becoming entangled in a mysterious cult. Disturbing images, eerie video clips, and creepy messages intensify the tension, making you feel like you're being watched. The game incorporates a choose-your-path mechanic where the player's decisions affect the story. These choices determine whether Sara and the other characters survive or meet grim fates. They ultimately ask, how much are you willing to risk for the truth? Unlike a horror game on a console or PC, the fact that this story uses the medium of a smartphone, your smartphone, leaves you with a lingering sense of dread and unease. When the horror is presented in a format you're already immersed in daily, it becomes harder to separate it from the mundane. The thought lingers. Could this really happen? Unlike watching a movie or show with friends or family, scrolling horror is often a solitary experience. You're alone in the dark with only the glow of your screen to keep you company. This isolation amplifies the fear. There's no one to reassure you, no shared gasps or laughter to break the tension. It's just you and the story, pulling you deeper into its grip. Now, before I conclude, I wanted to tell you a story and invite you to read along with my pinned comments below. If you're someone who often hides in the comments of a scary video, this is your chance. Ready? It was a Tuesday night. The rain lashed against the windows of my apartment, muffling the usual sounds of the city. I sat on the couch, scrolling through my phone, trying to ignore a sudden, strange sensation. I convinced myself it was just my imagination. Small things usually unsettled me throughout the night. A faint creak in the hallway, a soft thud from upstairs, a sudden hum behind me. For a moment there was only silence, save for the rain. Probably nothing, I thought. I continued to scroll on my phone. Hard to sleep. Had to just scroll. As my eyes grew heavy, I decided it was time for bed and locked my screen. Yet something was off. I caught something strange in the reflection of my phone screen, and at that moment, I noticed. So, did it work? I wanted to try creating my own type of scrolling horror using this YouTube video as a medium, and let me know how your experience was. Scrolling horror takes advantage of our most personal spaces, our phones, our habits, our solitude, to create an experience that feels uniquely terrifying. It's not just a story you watch, it's a story you live, one swipe at a time. So the next time you're scrolling through a webtoon, a Reddit post, or disturbing thread, ask yourself, what's waiting for you just past the next frame? Hey spooky friends, so thanks again for watching this video, and I appreciate all the comments on the last video that you can see to the side of me if you haven't seen it yet. Please let me know what your thoughts are, and if there's anything else you'd like to see on the channel. And I appreciate your time, and take care.